Hey, my name is Marshall Ramsey, Editor-at-Large at Mississippi Today. Welcome to a very, 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 very special edition of Mississippi Stories. And of course, if you'd like to see more of our stories on Mississippi Stories, you can go to MississippiToday.org. Our guest today really doesn't take too much introduction, but I'm going to give you a small one. Two-time Grammy winner, Mississippi Blues Trail marker, jazz legend. We have Cassandra Wilson with us from right here in Jackson, Mississippi. I'm trying not to fanboy on you here today because I'm a big fan not only of your music, but I'm totally in love with your process and your creativity and your story. Mm-hmm. And I was thrilled when I found out that you are going to be the Grand Marshal for the 40th House St. Paddy's Day Parade. Congratulations.
Thank you, Marshall. It's a great joy. I was surprised when Malcolm asked me because I really thought that he wanted Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
But Deion left, as you know.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. Did you hear about that?
A little bit.
So I was really shocked and delighted. And he asked me if I would do it, and I said, of course. I would love to. I've never been to the parade, so I'm looking forward.
Oh, wow. And you get the best seat in the house, too.
Yes. I get to sit in some kind of cart or hopefully a car. I think there'll be a car.
And I interviewed Malcolm recently, and he was talking about how he's actually been out training. I said, what are you, Rocky? He said, no, I've got to be able to walk for 2 miles, but you're going to be in a car, so that's pretty cool.
2 miles, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so have you practiced the Queen of England way?
Oh,
or how's that going to work? Or
I've
do you
been
get
doing
to
that
throw
for years.
Queen of Jazz, Queen of England. It's
40 years, all that jazz.
40 years.
That's what he's celebrating.
Yeah,
So.
that's right. So, and really about the time the parade started is really when you've really started off your career. You were singing at Poets and making a little bit of extra money so that you didn't have to take allowance.
Yep, I started making $20 a week to sit in for Michael G. Brown. And he was, of course, that was the poet in residence at Poets. Yeah. And I think he let me do Tuesday nights. And I made $20, which was a lot of money.
Yeah.
I felt really like, oh, I'm wealthy. $20 a week. Think of all the pizza.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. So, and just think about it. He was the poet in residence, and now you've gone on, to have the career that you've had. The thing that's amazing to me about you is, of course, you started out really young playing the piano. Your parents said that you seemed comfortable when you were playing it. Mm-hmm. Would you go to clarinet next, I think? Was the instruments? I know you play guitar.
I'm trying to remember. The clarinet came in junior high.
Okay.
So that would have been, I think they were happening at the same time. The guitar was the next instrument, and then the clarinet. But the clarinet was in the band in school, and the guitar was at home.
Right.
Yeah, because you didn't play guitar.
You couldn't really sit in the front of the concert hall and play. No. When you learned, though, your dad, who was a musician and very talented in his own right, played big bands during the 40s and so forth, just a talented guy. When you asked him to teach you, did he teach you or did he? No. He
gave me a Mel Bay, one of those Mel Bay
bands. Yeah, I remember those. I remember those.
And he said, you need to learn this on your own. He knew that I'd been through 6 years of instruction on the piano and reading a lot. Right. I was doing a lot of reading. And so he thought it was time for me to have a different kind of an approach, which actually has helped me quite a bit in the way that I process music. It's more than just reading it. It's the ability to intuit what's happening musically and to just approach harmonically and melodically the music without reading it.
Yeah, let me talk a little bit about that, because one of the things, and I have a friend who's a musician, and he's like, when he plays along with people, and I know this is important with jazz, is being able to improvise, and your voice is a beautiful instrument, and your I always screw that word up.
Improvisation.
Thank you. Where some people may do it with the piano or do it with the trumpet or whatever, you do that with your voice. Mm-hmm. I mean, your notes and you can take a note and you can make it your own. So you can make a song your own. But when he says that he can anticipate a chord change or do whatever like that. And kind of relate in sense in drawing is I completely see a drawing done in my head before I ever draw it. Is that kind of the way you work when you're writing a song? You can kind of hear the song before you ever write it down? Yeah.
Yeah, it happens that way sometimes. But each song comes differently.
Yeah.
Sometimes they come from conversations.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Rhythms you might hear. Lately, being home, I've been listening to birds. We have just an amazing group of birds here in Mississippi. I don't know what to call them. They're hanging out here, and they have amazing songs.
And they definitely have something to say.
Oh, they're talking.
They're talking, yeah. They're talking like that. Well, I mean, you have done that before. You've put sounds in your work. Harvest Moon is a great example of that. You and I were talking about that off camera. And I love listening to it. I always joke that I told my wife, I said, this is something I'm going to listen to when my blood pressure is about to pop off. Because it totally feels like Mississippi. You've got the natural sounds in the background. Your gift, and I think your gift to jazz has been that you have melded all the gumbo that Mississippi music is into your work.
Thank you. That's a great compliment.
Oh.
You know, when I was doing New Moon Daughter, I realized that was the point, that I missed Mississippi so much that I brought it into the music. I was so homesick.
Yeah.
I've always come back and forth
to
Mississippi, but there was something about what happens in nature here that I was really missing. And so I just decided to incorporate those feelings that I had into that album, and that's how New Moon Daughter became so powerful for me.
My son was home and we were listening to it, and I said, this is what the world sounded like before air conditioning.
We didn't have air conditioning in the studio.
Really?
No air conditioning.
Really? Oh my gosh.
No. But it's upstate New York.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, so it was different.
If it gets 75 degrees, they melt.
Yeah, it was, well, let's see. Did we have, no, we didn't. Okay. But it was the time of year.
Okay.
We did it in the autumn with the coolness.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was the sound of no air conditioning.
Yeah. You know, talk about the parade and the honor of that. And like I said, it was wonderful that you've been picked, and I know you're going to have a blast. You're going to have
really?
You're going to have a blast. You're going to have a lot of fun. But the thing is, and I love seeing that Mississippi has honored you. That has to be incredibly special that your home state recognizes just your gifts and all that you've given to music.
Yeah, it is special, I think, for me. I know for me, when I got the blues marker.
Yeah.
That was a very powerful, pivotal moment in my life. Realizing, okay, this means that my work is actually okay.
That's right.
Yeah. And the Governor's Award
Yeah.
was another big one for me. It means more because these are the biggest critics I think I have. I think, actually, sorry about the cat. Seki, come on. These she wants to be on camera. She wants to be on camera.
Exactly.
And I say that because Mississippians are not impressed by you. That's what I've always loved about Jackson.
Yeah.
We used to joke and say that Michael Jackson could show up on the street and somebody would just walk past him and say, "Hey, Michael," and keep going. It's that kind of down to earthness that we have. Everybody should be down to earth.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you can come home and be you.
That's the only thing they want.
Yeah.
They don't want to see anybody else. They want to see you.
But you know, also, when you get on a national stage and you have the success that you've had with your career, Mississippians are proud of that too. Yeah.
They are, I think.
Yeah, I think that.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think you would be the Grand Marshal of the parade.
That's true.
As just a regular marshal. I'm not a Grand Marshal. So just, you know. But no, I mean, it's like, so that's really, and the thing I love about your story, and it's just like, it's like you have landed every place you were supposed to end up. Okay, so you got married because I guess that was the thing to do, right? back when you got married. You got married, and where do you move? You moved to New Orleans. So you're working for WDSU during the day. At night, you're hanging around some of the top jazz musicians of all time.
Yes.
I mean, what an education.
It was amazing. That
Yeah.
time in New Orleans, I didn't really want to leave,
Yeah.
because it was a perfect opportunity. I could do I had my day gig at WDSU, which was fabulous.
Yeah.
And not a hard job.
Right.
That job was really a sweet job. And then at night I could go out, to the sessions. Later on in the week I'd go and check out Ellis Marsalis or Earl Turpentine.
Yeah.
There were so many great musicians there, and there still are.
Yeah.
There's so many great musicians that live in New Orleans. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Mississippi as to writers. It just seems to
Exactly.
it attracts them. And you were getting that education, but then once again, because of your husband at the time's political family, you moved to New York. Now, you could have moved to Des Moines or you could have moved to Boise, but you moved to New York, and that once again puts you in a crowd with not only great musicians, but also you learn the business up there too.
Yes.
And that was important.
Yes, it was a time in New York when the younger musicians would come to town, and you could go to all of these jam sessions.
Yeah.
So it was easier to access the music and get knowledge from the elders.
Yeah.
Which is totally out of the question now.
Really?
Yeah, because the elders don't frequent the clubs.
Oh, yeah.
They're not actually venerated.
They've got really nice big houses and they live somewhere else? Or
Well, they
just...
have different careers. They're often in academia.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That has happened with the music. And so you don't have the opportunity to go out and listen to what we call, the older cats.
Yeah.
And just sit down and just absorb all of the knowledge. It doesn't happen that way anymore, unfortunately.
When do you feel like you were discovered?
What is discovered?
Well, I mean, well, that's the thing. I mean, I was sitting there looking at your timeline on that. And it was like everything kind of led to each other. But do you feel like you had a big break along the way, or was it just a bunch of little breaks? Because I think it's important for other young musicians that are watching this to understand: do I wait around for the big break, or do I just keep doing the music and fall in love with the process?
What is that?
Your neighbor's bringing in a trash can. Either that or it's the apocalypse, and we're all about to just totally evaporate. One of the two. So.
It's funny. Okay. Hold on.
Oh wait, I think it may be the apocalypse. Okay.
Okay. Let me gather myself. Okay. Was there a moment that I was discovered? I'm trying to think. Because now looking back on it, everything just kind of happened so fast.
Yeah.
The New Moon Daughter, the Blue Note.
Yeah.
That was like a huge push for my career, because prior to that it was just kind of enjoying hanging around in the subterranean New York scene, and which was very cool, by the way, very interesting, because the ideas that people were talking about, the ideas, the approach to music, the business, everybody was hanging out discussing it, the M-bass people that I hung out with, and so that was very important, I think, in terms of my development as a musician and as a businesswoman. But when I did the Blue Note, I started the Blue Note relationship. That was huge.
That was huge.
Yeah, I would say that was a big.
Yeah, because that was.
Those are my neighbors. Y'all.
Yeah, we may invite them in and have them join us.
You should.
Because they're right outside. It sounds like, but.
Mr. McNeil was Mr. Universe,
No way.
He was, wasn't he? I think he was. He was sheriff, Hines County Sheriff.
Oh yeah.
And my neighbor next door taught me math in junior high.
Wow. So when you come home, you literally come home.
Literally. I mean, these people know me from the time I was not that big.
If you look in frame, you see the beautiful painting behind us. Tell us who that is.
That's my grandmother.
She had a big influence on you, didn't she?
She did.
Yeah.
Huge.
I love the painting, by the way. I feel like I want to know her, and I feel like she could tell us some stories.
She would have a lot of stories to tell. She had an incredible life.
Yeah.
13 children. She traveled through South Mississippi and picked berries.
Wow.
She was a berry picker,
Yeah.
and at times she worked at the poultry processing.
Yeah.
So she had these odd jobs, but never worked as a domestic.
Really? So she was worked in the field and worked in.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. She's pretty tough.
And just judging from your mom she taught and was highly educated. Didn't she have a doctorate, I think, if I remember correctly? Yeah. And your dad was very obviously talented and gifted. So, I mean, there was a family work ethic there that was off the charts. I imagine. Yeah.
My grandmother always emphasized the importance of education. And she was so proud of my mother. When my mother had to leave the state of Mississippi in order to get her master's degree. She got it from the University of Wisconsin. Of course, everybody jokes about that. Of course, she had to leave in order to get a master's degree. They weren't giving that to black people back in the 60s. Yeah. But my grandmother was so proud, so proud. All of her children were educated. Yeah. Well educated. Wow.
So she understood it, though, because she'd worked so incredibly hard out in the fields and so forth. She's like, no, this is the key on that. Like I said, your voice, and I was just listening to Another Country, which is one of your more recent releases, and your voice is as beautiful now as it was back then. And you always, you hear some musicians, some singers, they burn their voice out, but you've managed, and I guess it's because you use your voice in a different way. You're not just sitting there belting it when you sing. No, your voice is, you take each note and make it your own.
It's always been important to maintain a conversational tone when singing, because that puts that's one of my secrets, that sends messages to the brain in a different way, to the listener. Yeah. And when you belt, you're hitting it so hard. It's just kind of like who's a belter? Well, there are a lot of belters. You can think of examples, but it just pushes like this. It's constant, and there's not dynamics. There's not ebb and flow. So that's really important to capture certain listeners.
And I know, for what little I know about music, I can only imagine when you're playing or singing with horns or singing with the piano. And I would think you would want a belt because you're trying to, compete with the instruments. But in a way, your voice becomes the lead instrument when you sing like you do, and that's what's so beautiful about it.
Oh, I was saying the Ethel Merman.
Oh yeah,
that's a belter.
Yeah, she was a belter. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, she could probably break China. She was definitely a belter. Like I said, you've been able to sing here, and you come back. And the question about your career, and like I said, you had a lot of incredible mentors along the way, and you had mentors here in Mississippi. You had mentors in New Orleans, and we're now, both of us are kind of getting to that age where we're kind of mentoring people. Do you mentor young musicians? Do you connect with them? Do they come to you? Do they ask you good advice? Because that has to be kind of a fun part of what you do.
It is, and I think it's a natural thing that should happen in your career. Yeah. If you're lucky enough to have a long career, you're going to have people that come to you for advice, and students, and all kinds of younger folk that come to you to get whatever wisdom you have to pass on. Yeah. You want to be able to pass along some kind of wisdom.
What wisdom would you pass along today?
Be yourself.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard nowadays because there's a certain kind of music that's pushed on everybody in the mainstream, and so we get into the habit of imitating that. Yeah. And we think that that's the route to success, is to imitate somebody who's been successful. Right. When that's the opposite, I think, of the route to real success is learning yourself. Yeah. And being yourself. And being the best possible yourself you can be.
I would argue that has been a root of your success, because like we've discussed earlier, you brought Mississippi into jazz. And we have a jazz tradition here in Jackson, of course, different than New Orleans per se, but the fact that there is the blues, there's country. I mean, the fact when you started writing music that singer-songwriters were people that inspired you.
Absolutely.
You know, so I think that's what I do love about listening to your music, is because you can hear those little threads that run through it.
You know, I used to say this before the license plates came out, and before the tagline that we have, that Mississippi is the birthplace of American popular music.
Yeah.
And so that would mean jazz, that would mean blues, that country, whatever you want to name. Everything except for polka. I don't think we...
Yeah.
I don't know if we can claim polka, but we pretty much have everything here.
Yeah, definitely. We're coming up toward the end of this. Like I said, I could talk to you about 6 hours about creativity, because that's just the fascinating part of what you've done for so long. Looking back on it, who would be some of the people that you would like to thank?
That's a long, long list. Almost everybody here in Jackson that I can think of in that community that I grew up in, I'd have to list. John Horn, my good friend since second grade. He's now a senator.
Oh yeah, I've drawn him several times.
Rhonda Richmond,
Yeah.
my dear friend. We've been friends since junior high, when she played trombone in the band and I played clarinet.
Oh, wow.
Of course, Alvin Fielder, great drummer, who turned me on to the intricacies of bebop.
Yeah.
John Reese, who had the Black Arts Music Society back in the 70s, who brought a lot of great jazz musicians into Jackson that we would not have otherwise seen had it not been for him and the work that he did. And of course, all of my, Elaine Hayes Anthony, who is now the president, acting president at Jackson State University. She was my instructor at Jackson State when I was majoring in mass communications. And she's a family friend. I've known her we attend the same church, and she was my mother's first daughter. I think I was her second or third daughter. Juanita Sims Doty. That was her second daughter.
Okay.
And I'm the third daughter. Yeah. It's a long list.
Yeah.
Greg, I'd have to thank him.
And he's in the room.
He's here.
So
Say hello, Greg.
Hi.
Get that voice.
Yeah,
I love
I
his voice. He's got that radio voice.
He definitely does. Hey, I just wanted to thank you for taking the time with us today. This has been so much fun, and I hope you just absolutely have a blast Saturday.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
So,
Laissez le bon temps rouler.
see, if I tried to do that, I would have butchered every one of the words. Let me ask you this, though. Are you working on any new projects?
Yes, I am. But I have to keep quiet about it.
Okay.
It's a secret.
Okay. Well, when they come out, maybe we can revisit that and
Absolutely.
get to visit again. Because I've loved every minute. Oh, go ahead.
I got to mention Donald Thomas, too.
Okay.
That's another old friend. He's another great influence. See, I'm going to be thinking about this all night.
Oh, yeah, we're going to
about
look up
the
tomorrow.
people that I didn't mention, but I love DT. He's great. And I'm sorry, what did you just say? We're finishing up.
I think I said thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, no, this has been so
Marshall.
much fun.
It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate you.
So, well, thank you for what. She's amazing. Yeah, give her a hand. She deserves it, definitely. If you'd like to see more great Mississippi stories, you can go to MississippiToday.org. But until then, go out to the parade. Check her out. She'll be waving just like this and having a great time. Thank you. Thank you for watching this episode of Mississippi Stories. Make sure to subscribe to the Mississippi Today YouTube channel and click the bell to be notified every time a new video uploads.